Welcome back to the channel. It is going to be now the upgrade externals of this, the VFC Olympic Arms AR-15. It's their like 2004 model, I think is kind of what it is. This has been like the kind of budget build update, the budget build gas blowback that I've kind of started looking into, and I'm really impressed with it. If you're not aware and you haven't watched the previous videos, I bought this for just under $280 from ProAct or Action Airsoft online. It actually came with two VFC mags. It's got a V3 VFC system in it, and right now is the moment where I'm going to basically upgrade the externals of this. We've done the barrel and the hot rubber inside in the last video, and it is shooting at like 310 FPS with like a variance of like 2 FPS. Rate of fire on this thing is pretty solid. It's about 13 rounds per second, around that. So just very, very cool. Now, I've chosen some upgrades for this, but what I always say in these videos is I often will change these custom builds up quite a lot. I'll put stuff on it in this video and I'll be like, I don't know if I love that. Do I like it? I'll sit with it for a few days and then I'll be like, you know what? I love it, or this is something I'm going to improve. It takes me probably like a month to actually normally get my custom builds ready. So today is going to be here are some upgrades that I'm going to put onto this thing. Here's some inspiration for you guys if you're looking for different things you might want to do to it. However, this may change. Now, one thing I will say is that this is that kind of retro-ish, like early 2000s style, the time of the Mark 18, quad rail looking shorty little replica. And so I kind of like the look of it the more and more I spend time with it. Not really the actual pistol grip, but the stock. Normally when I've seen these styles of stocks, they've just been very, very cheap. And this one, for some reason, it's really grown on me just in how lightweight it is. It really just like keeps this thing super, super, like, I don't know, just like compact, friendly, lightweight. And so I think I may end up keeping this on here. We're going to try a different stock on here and we'll have a look and we'll see. But I may end up keeping that there. And the other thing is I was going to switch this out for a very vertical grip. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I might go with something a bit more mainstream just to kind of keep the look. So as I said, this might change quite a bit. One thing I'm definitely going to do is remove this front sling point. I don't like these sling points. They're the kind of like old school general issue sling point, and I want my replica to have QD points on it, so that's what's going to happen. That obviously is not as retro, having like QD sling points on it, but I run nearly all of my slings QD, so for me it's just like a practical thing as well. This just has, it looks like a little roll pin, which is just keeping this in this front sight location, so it should just pop out, yep, and then that's just going to come off. So that's great, we've got rid of that. I don't think that affects the look of it at all. I think it just kind of gets rid of this piece, which we just don't really need. I might just put that back in so we know where this goes with this. But that's going to be the first thing we did. With this, I didn't go like full expense. It is kind of like a recommendation, or what is now become a recommendation after playing around with it, to be like a kind of budget build. But I haven't gone super budget with all of the upgrades on here. You could definitely spend a lot less money and kind of make this very, very cool, I think. But I kind of went with some middle of the road stuff. I didn't want to go super expensive and make it like, oh, look, I bought a really cheap replica, or not really cheap, but a cheap replica or a very good replica for the price, but then gone and just spent a load of money on upgrades. So I kind of went with some kind of middle stuff. And there are different options here. I've got a whole load of stuff here that potentially we're going to put on here. We're going to kind of feel it out as we go. So this actually is a 3D printed grip that I created. It was on Bamboo Lab, the actual file. And the quality of this is really, really good. I printed it in ASA. And I actually really like it. I don't know if it's going to fit this thing as well, but it is kind of very cool. So the thing that's holding me back on it is just the size. Just my hand kind of overlaps here slightly. So I'm not sure about that. Other grips that we can go for is I actually have a matching K2 Plus Magpul green pistol grip, which I love these pistol grips, but they are a bit more modern. And then a green Magpulse QD stock as well, CTR stock. So I kind of originally thought that was what I was going to go down the route of doing. I may still do that, but I just think the CTR stock on this might just add a little bit too much weight and just make it very, very modern looking. So at the moment, I'm going to hold off on this, but that might be something I go to. The other option that I have, which I think we're going to try first and see if we like it, is something that I've actually run on my like Mark 18s previously. You may know the company, it's Daniel Defense, very well-known company. But the reason that I actually went with this grip, and this is why we're going to try this one first, is I actually really like the ergonomics of this grip. It kind of has a little bit more of a retro design to it, I think, but it also has this built-in trigger guard, and it doesn't have a flare or a, what do you call it, a you know, when your mind, you know exactly what you're trying to say, but the actual name of it is escaping me. A beaver tail. So it doesn't have a beaver tail on it, and obviously in this current state right here, this one doesn't have a beaver tail. So I kind of want to keep that. And if you saw the unboxing video, I already said I want to replace this trigger guard because it's just super flat. And it's going to get annoying. This little gap here just gets a bit painful, and I don't really like this grip. So what I'm going to do is change this now, and we'll see what we think of the look of this one from Daniel Defense. I also have a Daniel Defense foregrip in the same style to kind of match that design. So we'll see if they kind of look cool on it. Just as a kind of heads up, this is what this thing looks like before. So as a before and after, you know, you've got some love and some hate for my transformation, let's say, of the AKS-74U from VFC. Some people are like, why have you taken the wood off it? You've ruined it. Some people are like, I really like it. And so I feel like this could be a similar reaction where people are like, you've taken kind of like a cool retro designed AR and you've decided to ruin it. And I kind of feel that a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I like the flavor of this gun, let's put it that way. Like it just feels very, very cool in its design. I'm trying to think, we may need to get a grub screw just to put into this gap. I can't remember if the VFC AR models have a spring, and it looks like they do. Yeah, so if you look here, the actual fire selector has a spring here, and on a normal one you'd have quite a long spring on a regular real steel AR. However, on these ones you've got, on the real pistol grips, the gap for the spring, but it actually is going to be too long and the spring's going to drop in, which is going to get release or remove the actual use of the fire selector. It's just going to become really flimsy and move around. So I'm going to quickly go and grab a grub screw just to stick in here, and then we kind of solve that issue. One sec. Okay, so here's a set of grub screws, just ones that I picked up from Amazon. I think this will be maybe an M1.5, something like that, quite small. I'm trying to look at the smallest ones that we have. Probably these, which are maybe, yeah, maybe I've got M3s. I don't know the exact size of this, guys. I would just buy a kind of set of different grub screws, and then you'll be able to kind of see which ones you want to use. It fits an a 1.5. This one, and that's too small. So I'm actually going to grab this one out. We need something slightly thicker than that, just because it's not going to screw in fully. This is the same width, yeah. So I just need something a little wider, which is probably going to have to be this guy. Which is an H2 in the, yeah, it's a 2. I'm a little worried this is going to be too fat for it. I don't really have anything that is this a little bit? think this is going to be the narrowest one that we have, or the narrowest one that's going to fit. So I'm going to try and just screw this guy in. Don't think it's going to make it bulge. So we're basically just threading this in here. In terms of cost on this grip, you're looking at about $30, I believe. So kind of like average. I think it was maybe $26 at Evike. I'll try and put a link to most of these products down there in the description so you can see what I've decided to use. This is actually just kind of drilling it out, which isn't ideal. I'm going to go back to my proper way of using this. Get some more torque on it. There we go. Okay, so all I want is to do basically is just to be flush with the top here, which that is. So that's why I've just put that grub screw right in there. So that should hopefully go in fine. We also have the screw from the original actual, what do you call it? The screw from the actual grip from the VFC, and that's what we want to use. This comes with a screw, but you can see here the size of this is going to be a lot wider than the size of our screw that's coming out the VFC. So don't use that. Use the one that is with the replica. Otherwise, you're going to risk screwing with the threads of what is on there. So you can see here, it's actually a very similar screw. So it might be the same in this case, but I would say generally just kind of avoid doing that. The other thing that has come with this guy, oh, actually, you know what's interesting? Is there is a grub screw that comes with this Daniel Defense. So I should have just stuck that one straight in there. I haven't done that, and I've done a different version. So, you know, it's not a big deal. But that's actually going to give me a bit more protection, just putting that washer that comes with it on there. These are nice because there is a big gap between there. You can get versions of these without the trigger guard. And what I actually need to do quickly is get my punch out and get this trigger guard out, because obviously I can't do this with the trigger guard in place. I've just realized. Normally I would, but this isn't. So I can push this in, and then we'll knock this guy out. I'm going to keep this over here. That's the spring. Okay, so there's just a roll pin basically sitting in position, keeping this trigger guard there. So I've just pushed that out, and that is the roll pin and that piece. We actually dropped the spring there, which we just need to be careful about because we don't want to lose it, because that is going to get rid of the tension for our fire selector. Now, hopefully, this will go on here and sit in place there. Oh, actually, I've just thought I was incorrect. That grub screw is not for the hole that I was doing. So disregard anything I just said there. That is going to be for... is that going in? Yep. That is going to be for actually just screwing the hole in here. So it's just going to allow us to actually put it into the end. So I'm just going to tighten this, not too tight in case we end up changing it. I think this could look quite cool though. Yeah, it's definitely more comfortable. That's what that looks like now. Yeah, it's more vertical, more comfortable. But that screw is actually going to be to go into the hole where that little pin was. Where on this one, it's actually got like a little indent there. It's on a spring-loaded piece that goes into that hole. This one is just going to instead screw it into place so that we don't get any play in the front of that piece there. So I'm just going to move that slightly position-wise. We're going to make sure we get the right size, which is going to be a 1.5. We can stop extending this. And then we are going to screw this into place. On this one. I just need to push it and make sure that the holes are lined up. And then this guy is going to screw down into that gap. It should fit pretty much any AR, standard AR platform. And that's just screwing there. And so then it's going to stop any play. This trigger guard is a lot better. For one, the main reason I like these, or why I actually put it on my Mark 18 when I first got it, was a Daniel Defense brand, Mark 18. It was like a licensed one. The Tokyo Marui one is licensed by Daniel Defense. Tokyo Marui have got a Daniel Defense license for that Mark 18. So it's got some Daniel Defense markings on it. And then on top of that, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to match it to that. And then the other thing is what I mentioned about that gap that was there between the trigger guard and actually the pistol grip. This is it all in one piece. So now I've got just a comfortable grip that's just going over there. And there is no like issue, or I've got no rubbing, and it's just one solid piece. I don't need to worry about playing in the winter and like removing the trigger guard if I've got really like dense gloves on, but that actually is just a big space. I don't know if you think it looks better or worse. It's definitely probably a little bit less retro now, but that's kind of where we're going with it. I'm going to stick these pieces from the VFC in here, and then we've also got this Daniel Defense little plug on the bottom. Oh. So this plug here with the Daniel Defense logo on it, that's just going to sit in the bottom here. And so we can just put that in there, and then that's just going to click in, and then you've got that covered up. You could use that as storage for something if you wanted to, but that just kind of keeps it all nice and looking good. Right, next thing we're going to do is try and match up this Daniel Defense foregrip with it. Now, because this is a Picatinny rail, I'm not sure if I'm going to run a foregrip on it. I actually quite like how this grabs. It's just got a really nice kind of ergonomic to it, even though obviously most people prefer M-Lock. But most of the foregrips that I have are actually M-Lock style. So this one here is again a Daniel Defense. I just need to undo this bottom cap here and then pull it in. Sorry, my kids just walked in. I'm going to pause one sec. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Okay, so I actually have got some other pieces which I just managed to pick up in there. Okay, so yeah, so basically you just have to release this, kind of screw it down. This piece comes down. I think this might be a little bit too big for what we're looking for on this, but we'll kind of feel it out and we'll see. Because it's definitely a bigger... I really like the Daniel Defense M-Lock one. It's hard to know where I am on this as well. Yeah, I really like the Daniel Defense M-Lock one. This one's definitely like it's a lot rounder. and it's kind of just very stubby looking. And for the size of this, it might just be a bit weird. I mean, it's comfortable, but it is definitely very, very long. I kind of think maybe we should go with something a bit shorter. I've got some other options that we could look at, like a little hook, but maybe for now, let's leave it on there. Because it's kind of like, I mean, the look of it, I think is a bit weird, but to be honest, I think it actually could, in terms of function, be really good. It allows me to hook. So if I have a switch here, that's going to work well. And being able to like pivot it, it's literally having like two little movers here to go. So we'll leave it on there for now, but maybe we'll switch that out later. We'll have a feel for it. Oh, that's the other one I could do, is something like that, which probably will look better. So maybe we'll switch it for that, but that's another idea. That's a 3D print, little MTAC style one. I don't know if I need this punch set anymore, so we'll put that away for a second. Okay, next thing we need to do is probably, this is the Magpul stock that we were gonna put on there. So you can see there, that would kind of like link with it. And my reasoning for this mainly is because I like this stock a lot, but it also has this, the QD point. So at the moment I have no stock point basically, or no QD point on the rear or on the front to put any stock on. And so I was like, right, but if I just put it on this actual stock, then we're all good. But what I actually might do, because I found, again, another Daniel Defense piece, was this. It's called the Easy Car QD point. And I've never used one of these. I actually came across it on the Evite website, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. But apparently this is going to basically fasten. It's almost like a receiver extension, and it's going to fasten down onto the rear here and basically allow us to run the QD mount off here. So I'm going to have a look at it. The instructions are very, very basic, so I don't know if it's going to work, but if it keeps us with our little where does this go? Okay, so that's going to lock around there. If this keeps us with our Daniel Defense branding and we do a kind of Daniel Defense build, it could be kind of cool. Okay, so that's going to go there, and basically what we're going to need to do is lock this around the rear pin, or around the rear locking pin. So I think I'm actually going to have to just undo this fully, and then we'll have to just pull this apart. Because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the barrel, the, what do you call it? The gunsmith's like mechanic wrench, and I'm just going to like undo the nut on there. One sec. Okay, so I've got it here. What I'm going to actually do is just loosen this and remove it. Hopefully. I shouldn't say that before I've done it, because this is going to be another one of those nightmare ones, isn't it? Where I'm going to have to like heat it up and get it going. So this fits in nicely, but I may have to just put this on my bench and then give it a tap with the hammer. Wasn't great. Okay, I'm going to actually just quickly stick this in my vise and just bang it, and I'll be back in one sec. Okay, guys, we've run into an issue. I've just tried to get this stock, buffer tube like nut off here. I can't do it right now. I literally can't get it off. It's a nightmare. I've heated up with a heat gun. I just got my hammer out. I got like the armorer's wrench, and just can't get that to rotate off. I think I will get it done eventually. But for the video right now, I think maybe let's hold off on installing this because I'm not going to be able to get it in. But the idea is that's going to sit where this black piece is, and then it's going to give me almost like an extended receiver there and just the option to add on these QD mounts. Again, it's a great idea if I could get this off. and I will try and like heat it up and get that done very soon. But I had a similar issue with the barrel nut on the other one, but the barrel nut actually came off a lot easier than this stock stock tube nut is actually coming off. So we're going to leave that for now. I could put this, let's just try and see what you guys think of the look of it with this green Magpul stock on here, but I think it's just going to make it a little bit too modern looking. I think this thing's going to look a little bit more funky instead of cool, funky and retro. It's going to look a little bit, and it's going to add weight to it is the other thing, which is the thing I'm trying to avoid. That's what that looks like with that, which actually I don't think looks too bad. But yeah, it's a lot more elongated. This thing is just it's a lot more compact, shorter. That as opposed to this. Yeah, I think that just looks cooler. It's just so much lighter. Other thing I could do... Okay, maybe for now, let's just leave it like that. What I'm actually going to do is secure this stock, though, with some of my favorite tape, which I put into these. So normally what I will do is basically put a piece of tape, which will be the female end of tape of the sticky Velcro. Or sorry, yeah, male end, I think it's called actually, sorry. So this piece, I need to actually get scissors. Resume. So what I actually normally do is I put a piece of Velcro along the inside of the stock. This one, I'm just getting so messy here today, it's insane. This one, because it's actually got a little gap there, even though normally you would see the number that's kind of like along the top of the stock, that doesn't have that, but it's got a gap there, so I don't want to run it too much, but we do also have access from the rear, so I'm going to just get two smaller pieces, I think. I'll do that, and then I'll cut this in half. And what I'll do is I will run one of these, because there's not a huge amount of movement in this stock, but there is movement. And if there's movement, it's going to annoy me. And so what I'm doing there is just sticking that on the roof, on the upper part of that, inside there. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side of this hole. You can very easily remove this if you don't like it. It is going to make it a lot tougher to like move the stock forward and backwards. But I don't mind that because I don't actually adjust the stock on my ARs that much. You know, once I know where it's going to sit. It's actually a little bit annoying that that's there. I'm actually going to pull this one off because that was just overhanging that button just a little bit. So I'm going to go slightly smaller with this one. Yep. And then it doesn't actually matter. You don't have to kind of get it fully aligned. All it's basically doing is eliminating the space that's between the stock tube and the stock, or the buffer tube and the stock itself. So it should make this harder to get it on. I should actually normally let this just kind of like stick for a second to just make sure it's all good. That actually might have an issue. I'm just thinking where it's going to rub up on that second piece. I didn't think about that. But what we're just trying to do here is get that on here. And I may have actually again messed this up. I think at the moment we're cursed on this stock. I'm going to pull this off again. Pull this off again, and then I'm going to... So actually just try it with that one rear piece and just see how that is. I can't imagine that's going to fix the issue, but it might. That's going to go on there. Yeah, we're going to have this issue where, you know what I might do is I'm just going to do the piece at the front, because this piece is going to catch. What my problem is that like when you're getting that top edge or that rim along, normally if it's kind of like right at the start and you can get it, just like squeeze it just past it, you're fine. If you have the issue where like halfway down the tube, that edge is then touching it again, it just starts to push back on it. So what I might do is actually just do one small piece at the top and see how that works. But what I need to do is make sure that it's kind of like aligned with the very edge of the stock so we can get this first part over it, and then we're all good. Okay, so that there is right on that edge on the top. And what I need to do is almost angle that first bit over it. If I can get it on, like that. No, that's stripped it. So you can see here it's pushed that bit back. Sorry guys, normally this is a very simple piece for me to do, so I'm having a bit of a nightmare on this one. Maybe it's trying to tell us we should go for the Magpul. So the universe is like aligning and saying just do the Magpul stock, it's the one. It is, the thing with it is, I think, is it's like close to being, you know, like not enough gap. So this like foam is almost just giving it a tiny bit too much resistance. Like it's taking up more space to try and get this piece on than it needs to. Is that on? Or is it stripping? I think that's stripping. Yeah. Yeah, I think we've caught it there again. And then it's getting pushed out the bottom. I'm going to pause this for 1 sec. I'm going to get it done. You understand the process of it, but I just don't want you guys watching this non-stop. Okay, actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that dry, because I think that's the other thing, is it's just getting pushed and it's just sliding. So I'm going to try and just let this dry, and then I'll come back to it in a couple of minutes, so then we can all do it together. Right, next thing that we need to do is probably the optic. So optic I've gone for with this is actually one that I haven't used before, but I have had an optic from this company before. Now this is Hawkway. I've actually never worked with them. I just ordered and bought the optic from Amazon myself. This one is more of a budget optic, but because I had such a good experience with the other one, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and buy this and we can test it out and see if it's going to work. But Hawkway, they seem to make, I think this is $100, so not super, super budget, but it is for what it is. or what I'm expecting it to be, pretty well priced. Window on it's pretty big. It's like an RMR, so you can use this on a pistol, but it's a big window. And so with this one, I was like, I kind of want something that is not too expensive. It's going to be small, and it's going to work on this format. So it actually comes in this box. The model of this is the ASE53. It's going to come with a RMR footprint with a Picatinny kind of attachment on it. And then hopefully we are also going to have a battery. I'm hoping. Yep. And where's the battery going to go? That's a good question. Let me just see if we got a battery in here. No, it comes with a couple of batteries. And to put the battery in, I feel like I did this wrong on the last time when we did it, and I can't remember how we put the battery in, but I can't see any other way to get the battery in other than peeling off or getting rid of this rear sticker. Oh no, I'm incorrect. So there is a small little battery tray right on the side here. So we're gonna open that up. This and this can go away. I'm going to work on that later. I'm going to get that attached, but I just need to have the time to do it. They've actually sent 2 batteries with it, which is great. Have they got a tool? Yep, they do. Got a tool here. This was super fast to get here from Amazon. I think it was next day delivery. So again, that always actually plays into me buying stuff as well, which is bad because it shouldn't. But I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to wait like a week for something to come, even though it might be a better option. Mainly because I'm like, okay, I want to make a video for you guys to show you what I'm working on. Or I just want to make the video myself. But I do love it when you are able to get optics in the US here. And I live in a major city, which is also, you know, a big advantage for that kind of thing. Okay, so it's a CR1632 battery. It's going to sit right there. I'm going to slide it in, and then we'll put this screw back in place. Advantages of this one, I think it has shake awake. That's really all I needed for this, was just kind of like a good quality optic, i.e. like a reticle that I can see, and being able to do it. It says it is, what has it got? It's a reticle system, 2 MOA dot. The features, it's 1X, obviously, impact force 1300 grams. It's IP68, waterproof, dustproof, and fogproof. 8-minute shake awake, memory function for brightness settings. It's got 10 brightness settings, up to 70,000 hours of battery life. Convenient battery tray and compartment. So it was a good thing that I did that. Let me give you a look of what this is going to look like. So the actual red dot, you can see there. There is the red dot. So it's a 2 MOA dot. It's not really like massive, but it's kind of perfect for this, I think. There's no distortion towards the edges of the lens. Super clear. I'll turn it up a bit as well so we can see how bright it's going to go. Okay, so it doesn't go super bright, but it goes pretty bright. There it is, that. So bright enough easily where I'm in like bright lights here and I can easily pick it up. Okay, so that's going to go on there. We're then going to attach this to this little base plate so we can use it on a Picatinny rail. I think we'll have some screws in here. It's actually got a ton of screws for different mounting on different systems. Screw spec, it's got all the screw specs. I actually just love it when they give you all these, because when you buy a replica and then you just are like, okay, this is really annoying because I don't know what's gonna fit. It can be so annoying, like trying to find, let me see how deep this is, trying to find an actual screw that's like some random size for a replica. I'm trying to think. Okay, so this, how deep do we want it? It doesn't actually tell you which ones are just to put it onto the
plate itself. They all seem to actually be a similar-ish depth. So I might try this one. We'll just see how. So this is too big. That's the chunky one, and that's too big for this. Okay, so that's good to know. And that one is an M4, so we need an M3. That's a 4. M3, here we go. Okay, so I think it will be this one. Yeah, so it's an M3 screw. This is very easy. Build quality on this is great. Again, I'll try and have a link to it down below so you guys, if you want to put it on something, but I do like that you could run this on a pistol or, that's perfect, or on, I think it's got thread lock on the actual screws. So that's there. The one I went with is the M3.5 by 0.6 by 11 millimeters. And that seems to be the right length where it's sitting on the screw points just inside the Picatinny rail with no issues. Okay, so that thread lock hopefully will kind of keep it in place, dry style thread lock. And then, other thing is you can use this one tool for everything, which I really like. Okay, so I'm going to put these screws back in here, but those are going to be good ones just to keep hold of for other sites that I have as well. And I'll put this battery back in there. That should be everything we need with regards to this one. Put that there. Has it got a cover? No. I don't think it has a cover for the actual sight, which isn't an issue because I never use those anyway. And then I've gone with this, which is a UTG Super Slim riser mount. Again, this was $30. And again, this for me might be a bit modern. It might just look a little bit modern, but I'm hoping it's not. It's going to be a 1-inch riser. So I can get rid of that. It's going to be a 1-inch riser, and it should basically just sit in the perfect location for this optic. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so it's a good size in terms of the base. I'm going to use this guy just to attach it on here first. And then we'll work out the location of where we want this to sit on the actual replica. But what I did need, I like risers on my replicas anyway, but what I did need is enough height to get over this front sight post. Because if I want it to like not remove that, which you can remove that and take it out if you want to, but I again like that retro kind of vibe of it. I need to get something high enough up to do it. I normally put a 1-inch riser on most of my builds. I'd say that's kind of the go-to for me is one inch. Probably also because unlike real steel, like you're wearing in airsoft, like face protection that can get in the way, or does get in the way. Just open this up more. And so getting your face down onto the actual stock and it not being, that's probably where we want it, maybe one further forward. Just go one further back on there. So I'm going to go with that there. Yeah, that seems pretty good to me. Again, this will be another one where I just adjust it a lot. You know, it's not like a one and done, it stays in position. I'll probably thread lock this when I know that I've got it in the right spot. Okay, so that's pretty good. So that now is where that optic is. It clears easily the sight post, or like the perfect amount. I've then obviously got these flip up sights if I need them, if that optic goes, which hopefully it doesn't. I don't think it's too like modern looking. It does kind of keep it's not retro, but it does kind of keep the same like blocky. It's not super futuristic.
It does feel really good with this grip on it. I know it looks a bit funky, but it does actually feel really, really good with that. Okay, so that's the optic done. Next thing we're going to do is actually put on this, which is going to be my QD sling mount. So normally I like the sling to run not towards the front of my replica, but actually either side of the body of it. So normally I'll have one which is kind of situated there. So it's out the way of my hand, but actually gives me kind of like a point there. And then the other one is going to be here. So with this one, I think what we'll probably do, as I just undo it and lose that piece, is probably we'll go with this here, just in front of the optic. I need a screwdriver just to get this thing tightened up. And it's probably going to be this guy. But this means that I can basically use all of my actual slings that I normally use. So that's there. I may tighten that a little bit further when I've adjusted it and made sure it's in the right spot. But that means now I've got that there where I can hook that in. When I put this rear piece on there, that's going to be in that location. And then I've got QD mounts very, very quickly. Obviously, I removed that, so we needed to do that. Okay, so now we're basically left with the last piece that I need to do on here, or the last couple of pieces. The first one is going to be light and laser. Now, I always need a flashlight. I sometimes need a laser. And so I like to kind of have combo units that do both. With this, I've got a couple of options. I've actually got this, which is a Vitar 2 laser light, which goes onto Picatinny. I can actually find the mount in the box for this because this is an M-lock mount for the switch right here. But my idea with this is probably to run it on the side there and then have the switch on top so that when my hand is here, I just have that option to like put my finger up. I actually think though that what I'm going to try first is this, which is the Olight. This is awesome because it's a laser and a flashlight. You can select it. They actually sent this one to me for free, but I bought a lot of these. This is the Odin GLM. You can get smaller ones, but I actually think because it has that blocky kind of look, it might be kind of cool to have it in this design. So the other thing that you can get, I think it comes with actually a M-lock mounting system, which is kind of better because most people have M-lock now. But you can buy this, which is the Picatinny rail adapter. Again, this one cost me $30. A lot of this stuff's $30. And the great thing about these, so I'm going to leave the Vitar 2 now. I may switch over to that. We've got to be careful with this. I've just realized I left the actual... I left the buffer piece, the spring and the buffer weight out of the stock because I was heating it up. I didn't actually put it back in, so I need to be very careful that I don't do that. Right, there we go. That's back in. Because I've done it before. If you do that and you remove the actual, you keep the bolt in there and then you remove the bolt and you put that in, the spring shoots straight into the upper receiver and then trying to get it out, you're like pushing through the actual upper receiver to push that spring back. It's an absolute nightmare. Okay, so this is going to go on here. I am liking how this is looking. I like that sight a lot. I was a little bit worried about just how it would come across. Okay, so we're going to need, what did came with in here? That's nothing in there. I think, did this come with this? We're just going to attach this. Nope, what we can use. So my kids are in the background playing, which I can't really get mad at them for. I'm trying to finish this video before our nanny leaves, so I don't want to rush it, but I don't want to have to pick this up tomorrow. So this seems like a fairly easy system. The nice thing with these is they're so easy to like transfer. That's the mounting system. And so I can put one of these on like 3 or 4 of my replicas. And whenever I'm using or switching between them, I can just take the actual flashlight I want to use, switch it to that replica, switch it over. The same happens with these switches where it's a magnetic system and you can just lock it in place like that. And then, so all I have to do is have a switch and that little mounting system, and I can just pop the light off, which is the expensive bit, and use it between replicas or whichever replica I want to use. I'm hoping that, let's just see how far forward we want this thing to sit. That is going to be perfect. So that's the mounting system there. I can actually take it and I can mount it on the front or on the side. So I could put it there, or I could put it off to the side here. I think it's going to sit perfectly right there. So I'm going to have it as far forward as possible, just because we're going to have potentially a suppressor or a tracer unit on there when we need to. And if we end up doing that, then I always just want to have it further forward to not get in the way. But you can mount this to any of the rails, and then the only thing that's going to change is which way you put the flashlight in. Do you put it in from the front or do you put it in from the back? And it shouldn't matter. So if you're a left-handed person thinking, oh, is that mount going to work for me? Yes, it will. It's just you're going to be putting it in from a different direction. So there we go. Tighten that up. Now this could add quite a bit of weight to it, but because it's such a short replica, I mean, this thing's pretty light actually, it's not very heavy. But now that is going to put that flashlight right there, which is going to be pretty crazy, I think, for someone looking. This is then going to sit on there quite easily. And then the only issue that we could have here, which I'm hoping we don't, but we'll see, is this is the mount for the Picatinny. You can also get, similarly with the other ones, you can get mounts that will go on M-LOK. But I want this to probably sit as far forward as possible. Although I could sit it on here. Let's try it on here and then we'll see. But my worry is just, is it going to be too close? Like the actual edge of this switch, is it going to get in the way when the actual flashlight's mounted on? Because that could be a problem. Let me just... okay, so let's try. And then we could always switch over to the Vitatu if we want to. But I do like these Olight flashlights, so it would be good to keep this on here. Why is this so hard to get on right now? Okay, that's on. Okay, so that's going to go on there. This switch is going to sit there, and that is going to be perfect if this fits. So that's now where that switch is sitting. So that entire front top end there is just switched. There's a high and a low. I only really want the high. I don't really see a point in the low. But will this fit? Feels like it should go on. It's going to be tight, but it does go on. Okay, so that is basically touching on that top piece there, but it is on there. And then all I need to do is, we are going to have an issue. So that is going to be a problem. You see here, the switch is not actually going to sit on there, and that's a big issue. I mean, I could, to be honest, use it without the switch. Oh, just lost my mic. Sorry guys, I just lost my mic, which is great. It's on a magnet, so just popped off, which is ideal. Let me just reattach this so then you can actually hear me. Sorry about that, that was annoying. I could actually run this without the switch, so let's just try.
if I take the switch out, this is in a location on here where like I can reach over with that hand, and then with this hand I could do the same. So to be honest, I could actually just kind of run it with the switch being right there, or alternatively I can move it to there, which is further out the way. You know, it is sticking quite a bit further out there, but that means that I could have the switch on top. It just feels like that's a little bit clunky. Like if I'm on my left shoulder, like getting my hand around that's going to be annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to run it with no switch like this. And again, that kind of makes it a bit more retro cool. And then I've got that there. I can't quite get to that there, but I can get my thumb over the top. And then on this side, I've got it very, very easily there. So yeah, I mean, that should work pretty well. I don't know. We'll think about it, but that actually works pretty well for right now for this little guy. And actually just keeps it very, very like weight-wise in the center, compact. You can also lock this on here, so that's now locked, so I can't remove it. So we'll drop that switch for now. That actually means that's actually kind of good because I could put this switch back on another replica and then I can just have my mount and switch it between. Okay, so that's going to be there. Last thing that we kind of can work on, which I think I've kind of got a solution for this is actually quite a cool flash hider it comes with, this guy. But obviously if I'm playing indoors, I don't have the ability for tracers. And that is, for me, quite important. This is the one that I think I might go with because it kind of has that similar aggressive kind of birdcage look to it. This is the Ace-Tech Bifrost. It doesn't look really like a normal, I don't know, what do you think? Doesn't look like a normal kind of suppressor. So I do have other options. I've actually got a weird one that we could go with, which would be this this one here from eShooter. No, that's going to be too weird. Like, okay, I could just go fully out there. Let's have a look what this looks like. Because this goes from being retro to like space age. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. That's really built for a pistol, so we'll keep that. We'll keep that for the pistols. Other ones that I've got, and I'm trying to kind of maybe keep this black, is I could put one of, for instance, my little Surefire cans on the end, and I think that might be what looks coolest. This is a 3D printed like Surefire SOCOM copy. But it does add quite a bit of length to it, even though it's a very short suppressor. There. That definitely looks the coolest, I think. But it does kind of turn it from this like very miniature CQB gun into like a little bit of a more regular length, like 10-inch. And then I've got a couple of others that we could do. This is a long thread. This guy. Which actually probably looks the best. Just because it almost makes it look like a little M4 CQBR. That guy there. Or alternatively this, which is a Noveski one, but it's kind of in the wrong color. And again, it's kind of a bit more modern. So I feel like that might be the way to go. Weirdly, like it shows you like you put stuff on and you think, oh, that's the one I'm going to like. And it ends up being like you actually go for a different one. Other ones I could do is that new smoke kind of suppressor that I've got. But again, that's going to add quite a bit of length to it. Or I could go with like a fat can, like my fat can kind of guy here. Actually, that could be kind of cool. Should we have a look at that? Actually, I don't think that's going to go on with the... is my Manta. I think that's not going to go on. It's going to be very close. That is right next to that Olight. Like, it's not touching it, but it is as close to touching it as you could get it. And then that's the other version. I think that just kind of looks a little bit silly. I love these Manta fat suppressor covers, but I think that goes a bit far. So what we'll probably do, guys, is I'll go with this guy, the cheap one. Keep it in the cheap build category and get this guy on here. This was another like $29 one from Amazon. So maybe we'll just go with that and we'll see. What do you guys think of that? Very kind of clean, just standard can. And that is just going to give us the little tracer function. Okay, so now hopefully this has dried or is in a situation where we can put it on. If this goes off again, then I'm just gonna for the video and for the end of the thumbnail, etc. I'm just gonna do without the Velcro on this and just tell you guys. Hopefully you can get Velcro onto it, but I'm gonna have to do a fix for this because I hate a wobbly stock. It's like one of my pet peeves. I know that that's what they're really like, and everyone's like, yeah, real steel stocks are like that. My real one is not like that because I've done the same thing to it. Okay, it's done the same thing where it's gonna, I think, just be too wide. Yeah, it's stripping it. Okay, so the Velcro fix is not going to work on this. So I may find a different stock so that we can do a proper like tight one. Or maybe I just do electrical tape. Should I go and do that now? Okay, I'm going to go grab electrical tape and we can do it with that. Because normally, I think maybe that's the issue that I'm having here is I'm just trying to go too thick with the Velcro. And electrical tape will make it work. So 1 second, I'll go grab that. Okay, I'm actually going to try this, which is the fabric tape. This is what I use to actually wrap a lot of my stuff. I just want to make sure I get like a clean cut on this. It might not be thick enough, to be honest. But it's a lot thinner than the Velcro. Okay. Okay, so that should be a clean cut. So let's see. See if that's a better option. That's very, very thin. But might just be enough to do it. You never know. Okay, and I think we actually might be right with that. Yeah. Okay, so that's the solution. This is this fabric tape, and that has now made this nearly zero wobble. The only thing I might do is put a tiny bit more at this end here, which I'll just do quickly so we can just confirm that that's correct. But I think that's going to be the way to go. Let's get rid of this bit. Wow, I'm really having an issue. The stocks are like cursed for me today. I'm quite excited to get onto that stock tube fix. So let's just open that up as far as it will go. I'll put this in further down. There we go. So that's going to just put a little bit of resistance there. And then when we put this down, yep, that's going in there nicely. Okay, so that now has made it fully solid, which is great. And this is normally, let's just see where I would normally have my, It actually isn't sitting in there now. Where would I normally? Okay, yeah, so that's normally where I'm going to run the stock length. So not fully extended, but that's kind of where the build's going to be, guys. So let me put a mag in here. And here is what I've turned this VFC Olympic Arms build into. Again, the weight of it's really nice. It's really lightweight. It doesn't have a big solid stock on it. The only thing that we really didn't manage to sort out in this was installing this Daniel Defense base plate. There's other workarounds that I could do. I'll just kind of work at it. I kind of have to get this nut off either way to kind of do different versions of how I'm going to run my stock. This I might change out, but I actually really like the sight. The sight's at a perfect like height for my eyes. So that, guys, is what this thing now looks like. If you want to look at it and how it's running that way. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. How would you have done stuff differently? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And, you know, is there anything that you would advise I change? I love you all very much. I will see you all very soon on the next video. Have a great day wherever you are. Speak to you then. Bye-bye.